Hello there, people of the internet. So, I have a friend in Alaska, up there in the final frontier here in the United States. And my friend in Alaska and I were talking. We were talking over Facebook because, of course, I'm in Florida, he's in Alaska. Very different areas, but he was talking to me about his combat rifle, his fighting rifle, and his survivalist rifle, and we were just, going in and out and back and forth, talking about the pros and cons of certain things. And oh, I love having gun guys as friends, right? But he was bringing up that his fighting rifle and his survivalist rifle were two very different platforms and existed for different purposes. And I was like, you know what? That would actually make a cool video. I know a lot of people, whenever they think, hey, this is my SHTF end of the world rifle, more often than not, they are thinking about their fighting rifle. They're like, this is what I'm going to take into the end of the world in the event that I need to go out and face off against XYZ number of people, right? Well, my buddy in Alaska, he says that if the end of the world happens, him and the people in his area up there wouldn't really know about it because they're basically distant from everything. But most of the time people focus on the combat aspect. However, even in the event that the end of the world happens, yes, I'm sure that there will be some combat taking place, but I'm willing to bet that survivalist situations are way more likely than combat situations. Even if society collapses, like we saw society basically collapse during the Great Depression and whatnot, it was less about, people fighting each other and taking over resources and more about self-sustainability of these people. Even if, like I said, society collapses, and I mean, it would have to get extremely bad for people to start fighting and killing each other, I'm willing to bet that people would start leaning to more towards self-sustainability, and that is where the concept of a survivalist rifle comes in. Now, we're going to be talking particularly rifles here, not like shotguns or anything like that. I'm probably going to cover those in a separate video. But whenever I was talking to my friend up in Alaska, with his particular area, these were actually really good choices for him to make. I'm going to say, if your choices are different in your particular area, then you go ahead and you do whatever it is that you're wanting to do. I know if you're like somewhere, say in the Midwest United States, where, somebody might start shooting at you from a kilometer away, having like a PCC for an SHTF firearm probably won't be a very good idea. You would probably want something that could touch out to longer ranges, like say a battle rifle. And if you have a battle rifle, then that would probably also serve as a pretty damn decent survivalist rifle as well if you're going to be going after larger game. However, if you're in an area like I'm at, and there's a lot of trees and whatnot all over the place, guess what? Small game is literally everywhere. Literally everywhere. I could just go walk from here to the road that is down that way, probably about 4 miles or so, and back, and I would have enough small critters to feed myself for a month. So maybe something like a full power battle rifle would not be ideal for a survivalist rifle for me in this particular area. So of course, wherever it is that you're at, it's going to vary, but here's some considerations. Up there in Alaska, it is very cold. I'm sure that a lot of you already knew that, but I'm going to tell you that. It is very cold. So my friend up there actually has an AK platform chambered in 7.62 by 39 as his fighting rifle. Now, up there are some instances where things might start popping off at long distances, and the 7.62 by 39 doesn't really lend itself to being effective cartridge all that much out beyond 400 yards, simply because it starts significantly dropping like a rock. So the concept of having a precision rifle as your fighting rifle, not really all that great. However, most of the situations that's going to take place is going to take place within that 400 yards, and a dramatic amount of that percentage is going to take place within 100 yards if things start going down and if he has to use his fighting rifle to defend himself. Now, could the fighting rifle also be used as a survivalist rifle? Oh yeah, it absolutely could. Like with proper shot placement up there in Alaska, they have some really big critters. 7.62 by 39 is not the most ideal, but like I said, proper shot placement, you can do some pretty incredible stuff with a 7.62x39, especially if you are in a situation where you're not worried about bullets flying back at you, and you can take the time to make proper sight alignment and make proper shots onto your target. If you're rocking a smaller caliber round, I know a lot of people will talk about 22 long rifle is deadly with proper shot placement. Well, if you're being shot at by 4 dudes with AR platforms, you're not going to have time for proper shot placement. So that's one of the reasons why I kind of lean against 22 long rifle for an effective combat cartridge, because it's simply not. But in his area, yes, you could use the 7.62x39 as a survivalist cartridge as well, though it is not ideal. The reason why he goes with 7.62x39 out of the AK platform versus something like the 7.62 NATO out of an AR-10 platform is because the AK platform lends itself very well to the extreme cold, and it will continue to run over long periods of time in intense environments like that. So in an environment like he is currently in, the AK platform is definitely a very good way to go. So that is his rifle, his go-to rifle for taking care of two-legged critters. But if he is in a situation where he is looking for large game gathering and just survivalist things, rather than go to his AK platform, which is what he would go to for defense, and he is looking for offense and or gathering, he would go to this right here. Not this right here, this is what I'm breaking out, but he has an 8mm Mauser rifle. I can't remember what his rifle is, but I'm pretty sure it's like a standard Gewehr 88 or a Gewehr 98, but it's a long barrel version, so he gets full velocity out of his 8mm Mauser cartridges. So I asked him, hey, the Mosin lends itself better to these cold situations. Why don't you use yourself a Mosin Nagant up there in those extreme environments where the Mauser does not lend itself to be all that reliable in extreme cold? And he said, yeah, the Mauser can definitely have some issues up here in the cold, but 8mm as opposed to the like 7.92 caliber as opposed to the 7.92 millimeter as opposed to the 7.62 millimeter of the Mosin Nagant apparently makes quite the sizable difference whenever you're going after extremely large game. My buddy up there, he doesn't use factory 8mm Mauser ammunition. He uses 260 grain solid copper 8mm Mauser ammunition. Solid copper for penetration. Lead is very soft and it tends to deform and whatnot whenever it smacks onto a target, and it doesn't penetrate as well. Well, whenever you're going after these large critters, having a large solid copper expanding bullet lends itself to good penetration while at the same time being very effective at holding itself together and increasing surface area, and there's just a lot of force behind that. I have no idea how fast it's going. If I had to make rough estimations, I'd say around 2,000 feet per second for an 8mm Mauser round at 260 grains, and that is a serious force to be reckoned with. And if you're going to get a 260 grain projectile from a Mosin Nagant, a 7.62 caliber, that bullet will have to be longer because the diameter of the projectile itself has to be the same so that projectile can move through that barrel. So if you want to add more mass, you have to lengthen the bullet. Well, with the 8mm Mauser, since it is a wider diameter, the bullet doesn't have to be so long, and the surface area of the bullet, the diameter of the bullet that is impacting the target, is greater simply because the bullet is wider than the 7.62. It's wider by like 0.3 millimeters or something like that. So you have this larger diameter of a projectile and a heavier weight bullet. And solid copper, I don't know if he's using like Full Metal Jacket solid copper or Hollow Point solid copper. I imagine he's probably using a bit of both. I'll have to figure that out, assuming he doesn't watch this video and tell me, damn, I'm just having caterpillars all over me. They're falling out of this tree. Oh, that's going to be fun for video editing purposes. Do I have any more on me? Can you see any? Tell you what, Florida is quite the adventurous state whenever it comes to the wildlife. I imagine Alaska is pretty adventurous too. So I think I made my point. I'm not positive. I can't remember where I left off before I was so rudely interrupted by Florida's wildlife. But hopefully you guys got some ideas from this video. Having a fighting rifle and having a survival rifle, two very different rifles. One for taking care of the humans around you, depending on your environment. Make sure the rifle is going to run properly in your environment. And one taking care of the game gathering survival aspect of the area around you. Up in Alaska, like I said, there's a lot of big stuff. And you need yourself some good, powerful rounds. Assuming that you don't want to, well, yeah, the power of your round definitely matters. And I know the 8mm Mauser rifle is definitely going to be more adequate out at long ranges than your 7.62x39. He's just rocking standard 123 grain full metal jackets, which is what we're about to send down range here. And for two-legged critters, that is absolutely adequate enough. And of course, the 8mm Mauser round, if he were to smack a two-legged critter with one of those solid copper 260 grain projectiles, I imagine that would be more than adequate to take down that particular creature. My steel has fallen down. However, a couple of rounds of 7.62x39 would also definitely be adequate enough. Well, I'm running out of time on this camera, so I guess I don't have the time to go set the steel back up, so instead of doing that, I will just send a couple of 8mm Mauser rounds at the steel. Let's see if I can hit it. This right here is Turkish 155 grain projectiles. This is going to travel at around 3,000 feet per second, and it is not nearly as heavy as the 260 grain projectiles that my buddy uses. As a matter of fact, I might get some of his load data and some of his projectiles, and we might see just how powerful this 8mm Mauser ammunition is. Let's see if I can manage to hit that steel there. Aha! I did hit it. Let's send another round. I hit it again. Either that or I went over top of it. One of those two things just happened. Alright, that poor steel down there. Yeah, 8mm Mauser, definitely a powerful round, capable round, potent round, but his stuff is quite substantial. Anyway, folks, let me know what you guys' thoughts are down below. I appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, share, description below, link to all sorts of stuff. Go check that out. You guys go off, have yourself a fantastic day. I'll see you all in the next episode. Make sure I don't have anything else climbing on me, because they will literally just drop down from this tree. Some caterpillars, not so bad. Others like to sting, and I don't like that. I'll see y'all later. Since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. Poor man's Garen. Shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.